Now, I feel like over the past like year and a half plus, we've all had a dangerous amount of time with our feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that that's a track on the album, but I'm wondering, did you pick that track specifically to kind of mark the time as the title of the album?
So I cannot speak to a hypothetical world where we didn't have a pandemic and I would have named it something else. So I don't know if that would have been the title of the album without a quarantine. Potentially it still would have been, but who knows? I do think this album was benefited by the amount of time I had to pace around my house at 3 a.m, thinking about every little nuance of what was going to make it as emotionally accurate as possible.
Does it ever feel like, oh, I share too much, or oh, I feel too raw? And how do you deal with that?
Yeah, not yet. And to clarify, that's the way I think about my music in this moment. And I think there are really infinite ways for music to be done in an extremely important and valid way. In the same way that, like, Dua Lipa makes an album that allows us to access our let's have the best fucking time in this moment. I want to dance around freely and just feel myself and be happy. And I'm grateful to those albums for like getting me to that emotional space. That isn't the emotional space that I have any jurisdiction on this moment. That's not the music I am making. But it's we all have our place. So to me, I feel like the emotion that I'm helping access for the most part is the 1 a.m. ones. It's the get home from being out with your friends and stumble into some territory that feels a little rocky, and then get a song that makes you feel less alone in it.
The place that I feel like I'm in with your album is the song Like That.
Mm-hmm. You're in love?
Yes.
Thank God.
I thought it was a beautiful love song that you'd maybe written for Julia Michaels, but then I saw that you wrote it together. So is it about you? Is it about her? Or is it just about the experience of writing songs together?
No, it's about Julia. It's about Julia and written with Julia. I mean, look, there are some unique dynamics to being in a songwriter relationship. There's 2 songs on her album about me that we wrote together as well. One of them particularly funny. So, with Like That, I mean, why would I not want to sit in a room and tell her all the ways that I love her and then have her help me craft all of the things that I'm telling her into a song? But I do think for both of us, there was a moment in the first 6 months of our relationship where we realized, I'll speak for myself, where I realized that where in the past I had thought in order to be deserving of love, I needed to show up perfect. I had to show up put together and strong, and if I had any sort of mess inside of me, I needed to sort that shit out before I ever arrived to my relationship, because that's what it meant to love someone, right? It means I need to be totally sorted out before I get there, because I love you. I don't want to show you my mess. Turns out, not the thing. Turns out that's not the move. What's more the move is to trust someone enough to show them your mess, because it's in trusting them enough that you actually get to feel loved in the places that you haven't sorted out. And that's where the love can get into you a little deeper. That's where it can actually reach you. So that's what that song is about. It's about realizing what it felt like to let Julia love me in the places that I didn't know how to let someone before, because they weren't put together. They made me feel insecure. They made me feel vulnerable. But her meeting me there was like, oh, damn, like this is the closest I've yet to understand. So we talked about it, and then out came the song.
Do you feel comfortable with me asking you how you 2 met?
You can absolutely ask me that, but thank you for asking. We met the day we wrote If the World Was Ending.
Okay. I heard some sort of rumor that Shawn Mendes was like your matchmaker.
Ish. He does play a role.
Oh.
So he sent Julia my song 25 in Barcelona before Julia and I ever met. And then Julia shared my song 25 in Barcelona. And then I messaged her to thank her for sharing it. And that's how Julie and my conversation started, which then led to the session where we met and wrote If the World Was Ending.
Okay, I see the connect here.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, what's next for the album? You're going on tour, right?
Yes, so I have not been home in a year and a half, which is the longest I've ever been away from home my entire life. It's been very strange. So first and foremost, I'm stoked to just come home. But the fact that I get to come home and play these songs makes it even more special. So yes, there is a Toronto date. There's a bunch of Canadian dates. And honestly, these songs have these songs have been kept to myself too long. So I'm excited to share the things that have brought me so close to myself over the last year with as many people as I possibly can, and then be able to look said people in the eye and sing these songs together will be the greatest joy of the year, I think.